Go ahead.
What's up, everybody? This is the latest episode of the 1796 Sports Podcast. Got Jim and Ryan with me as always. We're going to be recapping some basketball. The basketballs went down with the weirdest tip-off time ever and got the win at 9 o'clock in the middle of Texas for some reason against NC State. Other than the weird kind of timing and event, like what did y'all think about that game?
Ryan, I'll let you start because I usually begin with the stuff, so I'll let you go first this time.
I got you, man. Okay. Yeah, it's like you said. It's just so weird playing a game in Texas at 10 o'clock Eastern with in front of less than 3,000 people. But the Vols were able to get it done. I mean, a lot of times through the game, it was frustrating because it looked like everybody was half asleep. But I will say one thing: if Zakai Ziegler could make that 6 foot floater, he would be the best player in America. He
I
carried the
agree.
team for most of that. He played 39 minutes. I mean, it's by far the best game he's played this year. So I'm very happy that we could win a game without Connect doing much of anything. I think that's a good sign moving forward, which I don't think Connect scoring 2 points is going to be the norm at all. So I'm I'm pretty happy with how we performed last night.
Yeah, there's actually a huge. I want to give a huge shout out to Jemai Mashak. I think he played
Yes.
absolutely out of his mind for what we are used to with him. Always good on defense, but he hit a couple great shots. He hit his free throws when he had to. Um, And another one that we got to say, because Zakai, obviously, he played out of his mind. He played pretty much the whole entire game. He had to. But Triple J, man, he's
Mm.
coming to form. And whenever he's on the court, I always feel like this team is going to be okay. I mean, between him, Adu, Vescovi, and Ziegler, I mean, you're talking about probably the most veteran team in the country.
Yep.
And it's huge to have, especially when we get to the later months in college basketball. But right now, you could tell in this game it was Triple J and Zakai were the team. So
Well, that's kind of my takeaway is it's somebody different every game, it seems. I mean, usually it's Connect, but Connect once again, didn't lead the team in scoring. He only had 2 points and we were fine. Like it would have been nice. It makes the offense a little better. It makes the offense a little more fluid when you have that deep threat with Connect. But still, I mean, they made it work. I mean, Triple J isn't incredible at any one thing, but he's just a good all around ball player, man. Like, I doubt he'll be a top pick in the NBA, but he's so good at everything. He's just a good guy to have on your team. And the fact that Ziegler has really been stepping it up, like he did not start off good this year. He played horrendous in Maui, and ever since Maui, we got back from Maui, like he has been incredible. And I'm sure a part of that is just getting back to full speed and getting healthy, and it's just nice to see, like you guys both touched on, like Connect made no impact, and you still get a win, you still get a 9 point win over an ACC team. It's not like we were playing like Georgia Southern, like that's only North Carolina State's third loss. So I mean, I think you have to come away feeling pretty good about that win, especially with Connect scoring 2 points.
Yeah, especially with former Vol DJ Birds looking like prime Kareem Abdul-Jabbar too. I mean, he was dishing and hooks. I mean, it was insane.
He
I
reminded
mean,
me of he kind of reminded me of like Glenn Big Baby Davis from LSU.
big,
yeah. I mean, I don't remember him being that big, but
bro. He looks like an offensive lineman.
yeah, he should be playing tackle for somebody. But I mean, he was doing great. And their other guard, the one who started the game with 11 points, DJ Horn. I
Dude,
Yep.
he
mean,
wouldn't miss.
yeah, he was on fire early, and we were able to come through that. I mean,
Yeah, he cooled down.
yeah, I mean, there was a lot of adversity throughout the game, but even with like we've alluded to already, like you don't have your best effort from a lot of your players, and you're still able to come away with a 9 point win. So things are things are pretty good for the basketballs right now.
Well, and another key point that I this is the first thing I always look at in the box score after every game. and it's rebounds. We killed them on the glass. I mean, anytime you can get double digits, like more rebounds than your opponent, you're probably going to win. So that's a really good. Adu didn't have the biggest day scoring, which we can talk about Adu in a minute because he did something cool recently. But like Triple J, Awaka, Awaka came in off the bench and got 12 rebounds. Like that's, I know, Jim, we've all talked about it before. Like a healthy Awaka is a difference maker.
Oh yeah, I mean, we've talked about it multiple times on how different this team plays when they have a Waka or a Plavcic. Like when they have someone that could dominate the post and get rebounds and play bully ball in the paint, this team is way, way, way different. And I'm not saying Adu can't do that, but Awaka's, I think, way stronger than Adu, but Adu is better on the offensive end, and he can play defense too. So that's why he's the starter, compared to Awaka. But Awaka, man, another one. Meshack, Awaka, those guys aren't getting talked about enough. Obviously, Triple J and Zakai, did the most, but those two really stepped up.
Absolutely.
But talking about Adu again, though, I mean, I am going back to the Georgia Southern game. Think about it. If Adu didn't do that, if he didn't have that 27-point game, that game was a lot closer than what people would have been happy with.
Yeah. I mean, Adu carried you through that game. I mean, it's like what Bryce just said a few minutes ago. It's a different person every time. You can have Adu scoring 27 points one night and 4 the next, and it doesn't really make much of a difference in the win and loss column. I mean, that's how
someone has to step up because, I mean, you could tell Dalton was a little bit frustrated last night because, I mean, he did a drive to the basket a couple times where I thought they should have called a foul, but he was trying to get going. He was trying to get to the free throw line, but the refs weren't having any of it, and that's why him and Gainey too. Man, Gainey's really struggling, and I think it's just a little slump. I think he'll get out of it, but I mean, Gainey's going to have to step up later in the season because Zakai can't be playing 40 minutes a game.
No.
So, especially with coming off that injury, I want him healthy in March because we need Zakai in March.
Yep. And, it's kind of – what do y'all think about Vescovy so far? I know we've talked about it a little bit, and it's kind of not as big of a deal as it would have been last year, obviously, because we have so many other options this year. But I'm not going to lie. I mean, it makes me a little bit nervous because he's just not – I don't know what it is. He just doesn't look like he's playing with the same level of confidence.
He seems like he's like scared to shoot the ball. There's so many times where because he has a quick release, and it's just like he has so many times where he could just shoot the ball, and take some shots. It's so different this year. It's where he pump fakes, goes to the basket, and dishes it out, which is fine. It's completely fine, but it's happening like 80% of the time. Like he barely shoots the ball unless he's wide open.
Yep.
Yeah, it seems a lot of times with not just Vescovy. I mean, James hesitates to shoot sometimes. I mean, it's like sometimes the team is too unselfish. Like you can put up a shot if they trust. Like you do not have to go through the whole play. If you're open, shoot it, please. Especially Vescovy. And I hope he comes back around to that because we're going to need him.
Well, so we all feel pretty good about the NC State game. The Vols did have another recent win that we haven't really got to dive into. So we did beat Georgia Southern on Tuesday, pretty handily. Not really a whole lot to take away from that other than the fact that Georgia Southern is absolutely abysmal. I didn't realize that they have not won a game. But a good takeaway from that is Adu is capable of being an absolute monster if he needs to be.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if Adu's able to my thing is if he plays like that every game, I mean, you're talking better than the 3 big men we played other than Edie. He's probably a top 3 big man if he could do that consistently. I mean, we know he could rebound, we know he could block people, but like if he could score 20 points a game, that's absurd.
I mean, just imagine that come March. Like, if Connect is, we all feel good about Connect. Like, we know he had a down game, but we don't think that's going to be, a common occurrence. If you have Connect hitting threes and you have Triple J doing a little bit of everything, Ziegler being that spark plug, and Adu contributing, 10 and 10 or 15 and 10. I mean, I know that's a lot to ask for, but there's just so many ways that this team can win.
Yeah, and that's what leads to success in March is you're not relying on just one type of play to win. Like you can adjust to whatever is going on and find success. And that's how the teams in March do it. I mean, you can't just rely on shooting threes or dumping into the post. You have to be versatile in March.
Well, and it's also what's different than the team last year, because last year, like we talk about, if the other team scored 60 points last year, we were going to lose. And we were good at it, but we had one game script that we had to, follow last year to win against good teams. And this year, I don't really feel like that's the case. I mean, we've seen games where we've had games this year where we score 90 something to win, and we've had games where we score 60 something to win. Like this, there's just, I think that versatility is just going to do us favors as the season goes on. And I did want to talk about, Ryan, you've mentioned before the Georgia Southern game, you mentioned that, you hope that we see Jefferson at some point, and, it hasn't happened. So what do y'all think is up with that?
There's got to be something going on. Maybe because for a fact that Rick Barnes is not playing anybody that's not good on the defensive end, and maybe that's the issue, because that's the only issue I could see, because we should be seeing him by now.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly trust Rick Barnes to play who gives him the best chance to win. And if he's a nothing burger on defense or doesn't know the offense yet, I mean, he can't justify him being on the floor no matter how athletic he is. So, I'm not a mind reader. I don't know everything going on. So I'll just trust Rick Barnes for now.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Talk about Georgia Southern real quick before we hop to the next topic. But, dude, in the first 10 minutes of the game, I was seriously laughing at how bad they were, because it felt like we were playing a high school team. In the first half. I'll say.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's part of the reason the second half was so lackluster. I mean, you saw in the first half that not much effort would be needed to win that game, which, it's bound to happen every once in a while that you overlook somebody or see that they're not that good and take your foot off the gas a little bit. But, I don't blame him after seeing him in the first 2 minutes or the first half, like you just said. I mean, that's one of the worst teams to ever set foot in Thompson Bowling Arena / Food City Center.
I'll never call it that.
No, that is not sticking. Like,
I'm glad they just put the emblem on it and didn't put that name over Thompson Boiling Arena.
Yeah.
They said they knew the backlash they would get.
Yeah.
But
whatever Danny can do to rake in more bucks. It's okay.
Oh my God, can we talk about that, please? Oh, why? And it needs to happen. I know it's probably not going to happen this year, but Danny needs to do something about the student section.
Yeah.
Needs to happen.
I mean, you have old people who just sit there, don't cheer, don't clap, don't even stand in the view of the TV angle. Meanwhile, the students are separated on behind the baskets. I mean, that's just silly.
Yeah, no, they need to make it like Auburn, bro. I picked Auburn to win today because they were home. Because when you go to that arena, the students are on top of you, and it's a huge factor for college basketball. Same thing with Duke. You see Duke's crowd, man. When Duke has a big game at home, that crowd is nuts. And it's a huge, when you're playing big teams, it's big, big, big to have.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is something that probably, like you said, I doubt it'll happen in the middle of a season, but it's definitely something that at this point it needs to be looked into this off season, for sure. And so we're kind of getting to the point where I think we only have one more game until conference play, right? We got to play Tarleton State on Thursday. So
I think is it that close? No, because we got to play. Yeah, no, we have two more games.
okay, yep.
Because we have the Tarleton State on Thursday, and then we wait till January 2nd to play Norfolk. I can't even say their name, but
Yeah.
Norfolk State, and then it's conference play. We play Ole Miss, and Ole Miss, man, people are sleeping on them. I'm pretty sure they beat NC State, right?
They killed
like 30.
them,
Yeah. And a lot of people were talking about that, and I just don't. Basketball's so different. A team could be terrible against one team and just completely different in the other. But then they play NC State at home.
let me see. I'm pulling it up right
I'm
now.
pretty sure they did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so they beat them by 20 at home. If NC State came to TBA, I mean, it would have been a different ball game.
Oh yeah, I mean, we beat NC State by 9 at a neutral site. I mean, I think that's pretty similar. But yeah, I think at the beginning of the season we probably didn't give Ole Miss the credit. I'm positive we didn't. We didn't think they'd be this good so far, but we'll see how they do once conference play starts.
Yeah, and again, that game has to be wild. You have to have an insane crowd, and it's going to have to be crazy because Ole Miss will probably be undefeated coming into that game.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really matter how bad or good your schedule is. If you're undefeated, you're not going to be a pushover.
Yeah, no, and it'll be huge for Tennessee to grab that first win off in the conference schedule. It gives you a whole lot of momentum going into the next couple games because, I mean, after that, I mean, you play Mississippi State and then Georgia and Florida. Those teams aren't that great, so it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, you have a chance to stack some wins early in conference play if you can start off on the right foot. I mean, that could – it's getting close to being a top 10 matchup if Ole Miss ends up undefeated.
I don't know how they're not ranked.
I don't – it's like I just said. I mean, if you're undefeated, there's a reason.
Yeah.
They don't just roll the ball out there and decide you're better just based on –
Now I'm looking at it, they really haven't played anybody. The only team that was worth a damn that they really beat was Memphis, and they beat them by 3, and then they beat UCF by 2. So no, they really haven't played anybody. They played. This are the teams they played: Eastern Washington, Detroit Mercy, Sam Houston, Temple, NC State, Memphis, Mount St. Mary's, UCF, and Cal. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, that's not a murderer's row by any means, but
and they don't play anybody until they play us.
But they are. I mean, they're winning the games that they should win, though. So, do y'all want to talk about the Lady Vols real quick? I
haven't even really kept up with them the past week.
They haven't played in the past week. So the last time they played was Sunday. I think we did touch on that a little bit, though. They beat Eastern Kentucky by the skin of their teeth. And then,
and they took it as a winning the national championship.
Yeah. So their next game will be Tuesday against Wofford,
which isn't a pushover.
No, it's not. And the thing is, I mean, Wofford is 7-4. They might lose, and I hope they don't. But the crowds for the Lady Vols this year have not been good. And
well, why would it be?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to go. I mean, there's a lot of
the Lady Vols are turning into the Carolina Panthers schedule, where the Panthers are begging people to come in to their dude. Panthers tickets for today's game were 45 cents. 45 cents to go to a football game.
Keep pounding, baby. Keep pounding.
Yo, the crowd was empty. Now I understand it was raining, but still, like there was nobody at this game.
Yeah, it's sad, and it's really sad to see the Lady Vols at that level now, where they can't give away tickets right now. Hopefully, Kelly can get a win against Wofford, and then the last game they play is Liberty on New Year's Eve. So it'd be nice to get a little positive momentum going into conference play, but we'll see.
They could turn it around. It's really early in the season. It's the same thing as the men's team. The men's team, we lost 3 games, but it was against top 25 teams. And, it's early in the season. They could turn it around. Hopefully Rakia could get healthy, and I think Tennessee will be okay.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's the hope, is that Rakia turns stuff around, but still going to need to see more from Kelly to justify her job being safe.
At this point, I feel like she's got to go to the Final Four.
Yeah, I mean, it would take a
honestly
run for me. Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, there's not really much to talk about with the Lady Vols right now because everyone's just pissed at them.
Yeah.
It's not been a fun season so far. So, but do y'all want to get into a little bit of the football news? We finally,
you know me, I love this stuff.
It's Vol Twitter's been a hellscape the last couple weeks. The world is ending. We spent all of our money on Nico. There was a couple of, a ton of brain dead takes like that. And then, I was one of the people that wanted Justin Jolie. I mean, everybody, this podcast is pro Justin Jolie as it gets. But I said, I won't be mad that we, turn Jolie away if we get Holden Stays. And if we don't get Holden Stays, it's going to look really stupid. But guess what? We got him. So the number 1 tight end in the transfer portal is coming to the Vols. I don't know how you can't be happy about that. So we'll see. Hopefully that makes people a little bit more calm. What do y'all think so far about? We've got three that are locked up.
Yeah, the other 2 being Jacoby Thomas, safety from Middle Tennessee State, and Jamal Wallace. So just like you said, Bryce, this past week and a half, 2 weeks, whatever, ever since the portal's been open, has seen a lot of overreaction, a lot of loathing, a lot of, it's just, this is the time of year for overreaction when it comes to college football. And I talked to you, Bryce, about it. I mean, just people thinking that the transfer portal is where you build your roster. It's not. That is where you supplement your roster. This isn't the make or break. And I think a lot of the efforts until this week were focused on keeping some of the players we already had. And now we're starting to see some movement and getting transfers now and closing out on these high school recruits. So I'm glad that people are finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Like the coaching staff is not incompetent. They have a plan. They know what they're doing.
Yeah, I agree. I think people are way over their heads with the Twitter takes. The portal really just opened, and Tennessee's not throwing millions of dollars at these stars that are leaving their schools. They're leaving these schools for a reason, and it's just not right to take a kid that wants $1 million for 1 year and for him to possibly get hurt or sit on the bench the whole year. When you have all these good high school kids coming in, I mean, Boo Carter, he's on campus. Mike Matthews, the 5-star out of Georgia's on campus. Braylon Staley's on campus now. I mean, Tennessee's got a lot of talent. A lot of people got spoiled by last year and expect Tennessee to be a, 10 to 11 win team every year now. It's, we play in the SEC, people. We play really good teams. It's gonna be hard for Tennessee to stick with a lot of teams until they get up into the Josh Heupel's recruiting. So we'll see.
Well, and I mean, nothing that's happened so far this offseason would make you think that we can't still be a 10-win team. I mean, Samson stayed, Nico stayed. it's not like we've lost a ton. Like, I don't think Slaughter, McDonald, and Barron are going to make a difference in the win-loss column, especially when you add in all the young guys that are going to get a chance. I don't know. I just don't like the defeatist attitude where it's like we have to be spending money for mid players or else we're doing nothing.
Yeah, I mean that's just silliness. I mean, there's a reason people go into the transfer portal. It's either to chase a bag or you're not that good. Like that's the bottom line. And a lot of the teams that you see, getting a bunch in the transfer portal, it's because their roster is horrendous. They have no choice but to do this if they want to have any hope of being competitive. I mean, I think it's a good sign that we're not desperate in the portal and throwing around millions of dollars to every Tom, Dick, and Harry who has any interest in Tennessee at all. Like, this is in no way concerning to me. And two more players this week, two more huge names this week decided to come back to Tennessee. Cooper Mays, Amari Thomas. Like, you win in the trenches, and they're coming back.
Like, those are big veterans, like big time veterans.
Yeah, I mean,
you got to look at it like, look at Peely. Peely's technically a transfer portal addition because he didn't get to do anything last year. So when you factor in the guys that we're retaining, and that's another thing, those guys cost money. That, like, I'm sure they all do want to be a part of the school, but they wouldn't have come back for free. I mean, all of these guys are getting something. So I think that's kind of lost on a lot of the fans as well, where, a lot of our fans want these guys to come back, but they don't realize that, well, some of the NIL money is going to them. It can't all go towards.
And Cooper's getting a bag.
Yeah.
Cooper is our offense.
And he deserves it.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Like, there's no, like, I am not against him coming back. He is, our offensive line has the potential of being the most veteran offensive line in all of college football next year. And that's a big deal. Like you said, Ryan, that you win in the trenches. And that's going to be huge for Dylan Sampson to find holes to run through. Awesome for Nico to have more time to throw. What comes down to Tennessee being better is we got to be better on the play calling next year. But I hope having Nico at the helm is going to open that playbook, because we did not throw the ball down the middle of the field almost at all last year or this year. So it's going to be interesting.
Ryan, you mentioned it at some point. I think it was you. One of you two mentioned this, that like just getting Nico in at quarterback will probably solve a lot of problems. Like,
I think it's that simple, really.
I mean, we're not saying he's, we've touched on the Joe Milton debate over and over, but just having a mobile quarterback that looks comfortable in Heupel's offense and, can do a little bit more, I think will make a huge difference. And it's another thing you have to factor in. I mean, we don't have the same quarterback, so who knows? I mean, it could look a lot better just because of that. It could be like an addition by subtraction sort of thing.
For sure.
I also don't blame, like, Slaughter, McDonald, Barron. I don't blame them for leaving. I mean, I don't think they should get a ton of hate or anything. I mean, they're doing what's best for them. They're getting a bag. And obviously, I think Jim and I spoke about this before we started recording. It's kind of like, obviously Ole Miss and Arkansas respectively value those guys more than we do. They need them. They're probably going to play big roles for them. And obviously Heupel is not too worried about losing the entire secondary. I'll just say that. From things I've heard, I don't think Heupel's losing any sleep over it. And
I think they were asked to leave, though.
That's kind of what I'm saying. I can't confirm that, but I think Heupel told him, go ahead and get your money somewhere. But then that's another thing, though, is like most of our fans didn't want to see them play anymore. So I don't know why people are acting mad now. Like, everybody complained about our secondary other than Kamal. Everybody hated everybody in our secondary last year. So, I mean, you shouldn't really be upset if they're leaving.
Yeah, and I hate to tell people, Willie Martinez is probably coming back.
I mean, something. I agree with you because don't you think they would have? I mean, lots
Maybe
of
after the bowl game. Maybe.
lots of programs are making hires already, so you would think that they would have wanted to get a head start on that if they were going to get rid of him.
The reason he's not, this is my thought process, and I'm sure Ryan thinks the same way. The reason they're not going to get rid of him is because of the recruiting. A lot of kids coming in now that, you know, we have a couple 4-stars coming in. The reason they're coming is the relationships they have with the coaches. And the DBs have a relationship with Willie Martinez. So if Willie Martinez leaves, it's going to be a different story. Some will stay, but some will go. So you got to think about it that way to why they might not get rid of him. And don't hate me, people. I'm not saying I want him here. I'm just saying that's a reason on why they would keep him.
Yeah, I certainly agree that is probably the thought process in Josh Heupel's mind, but I don't agree with the thought process. I mean, I think I said it a few weeks ago. If you're justifying keeping a coach based on recruiting, that's pretty silly because if the coach is terrible, what makes you think he's going to coach up the recruits that he has, you know, coming to campus or not? Like, I just don't. I don't get that. But you know, it's just I don't know if any of us really expected Apple to make a move like that. So it's not too surprising to me that he might be back. I mean, and we're still looking out for that contract update because his contract is up. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. Very interesting coming this offseason. Because I don't see them giving him a 1-year contract. I just don't see it. I think it'll be a not saying 3, but it'll probably be a 2-year contract if he gets one.
Yeah.
So, anyways.
Doesn't it kind of speak about, I mean, if Heupel was okay with all of these defensive backs leaving, doesn't that kind of tell you like that Martinez hasn't done a very good job?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
if Willie had developed them, then Heupel probably wouldn't have been okay with them all leaving.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing though. It's like I wouldn't want him getting rid of like Ellerby if you know, because our offensive line class is great. It's like if Ellerby was to leave, it would probably lose a couple of those guys. So it's like, I don't know. I think Willie Martinez needs to go though.
Yeah. So moving on a little bit here, guys. Jalen Wright officially declared for the NFL.
Good for him.
Yeah, I was just what I was going to say. I wish him the best, and I think he's going to go and make an immediate impact somewhere.
I hope he does. I really do hope he kills it. I think he's a great kid. He gave all. He literally gave his all to Tennessee. So
yeah, you want to talk about something that's good for recruiting? Is him going to the NFL and being a stud. Yeah. That would be incredible for recruiting.
Well, and I don't want this to come off the wrong way. Like, don't hear what I'm not saying. I love Jalen Wright, but it's kind of like a best case scenario for all involved because he gets to go to the NFL, get paid, and Dylan Sampson gets to be the workhorse.
Yeah, if Jalen Wright stayed, I don't think Sampson would have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
probably.
I think it's best for all involved.
Yeah. So
Kamal Haddon, you know, he kind of broke my heart a little bit because.
Yeah, it was on accident though.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he got some bad intel, and you know he's not going to be coming back. He's entering the draft.
He would have though.
If it was his choice, yes, he would be back in Neyland for one more season, which sucks. But you know, I hope he did enough. I think he put out some very good tape this year. I think that he will get a chance in the NFL. I'm not sure if he'll get drafted or how high, but I do think he'll get a chance. And obviously I wish nothing but the best for him. A lot of the discourse around him hasn't been the most positive, but I think he ended on a very positive note and he'll definitely be missed.
Yeah. I mean, he turned into a true lockdown corner through the first 7 games of the season, and it was incredible to see. I mean, the career arc of Kamal Hadden is one of the more incredible things. I mean, starting at Independence, going to Auburn for a few months, and then whatever happened there and transferring to Tennessee in the summer of 21, and then growing into the player he became. And I wish him nothing but the best because I think he's a really likable player. I mean, he kind of represents our fan base in the way he plays. No matter if you're doing bad or not, we're going to come out fighting.
Oh,
Well, anything else y'all want to get to tonight? Went over the basketball. We're kind of in a slow period with basketball right now, and then obviously after New Year's it'll pick up. And then football, obviously, anything else big comes out in the transfer portal, we'll do some emergency pod stuff. But what do y'all think?
I think the Vols basketball team is starting to get into rhythm. I think if we could get Gainey back to his form at the beginning of the season, I think this team could make a very deep run. It just needs their 6th, 7th, and 8th men to be not what they're at right now. And I think this team will be completely fine, and I'm very excited for conference play.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's a good thing that you're really not clicking yet. The entire, the entire people that play aren't really doing everything they can yet, and you're still winning games. I mean, because what would be the point of clicking on all cylinders in December? So, just they need to grow into their roles and get better and better, and hope you're at your peak in March.
Yep, and I think Gainey will come back around. Shooters go through streaks. He's a streaky shooter, but I think he'll be there when we need him. So
Yeah.
Overall, not a bad week. I would say it's a pretty good week. Basketballs get another win. The Lady Vols got a win last Sunday, and a couple recruits come via the portal. And we find a couple guys that are returning to the football team that we didn't necessarily think would. So I think there's a lot to be happy about in Rocky Top right now. So,
well, I think the haters will be a lot happier at the end of this week.
Oh yeah, there's some stuff in the. We're not going to talk about it yet, but there's some good rumblings coming out of town. And also, I wanted to tell everybody. So tomorrow, Tuesday night, we will be recording a very special episode, and it'll probably go up Wednesday or Thursday. So you won't want to miss that one. We're very excited about that one.
Absolutely. I haven't been more excited for a podcast until this Tuesday. So, yeah, it's going to be a fun one.
It'll be a doozy.
But other than that, I think that's all we got for today. Fun one. And I'm very excited again for this basketball team season. And we'll hop off here, and we're about to go watch some Sunday Night Football.
Go Vols, baby.
Go Vols.
Go Vols.